Welcome to the smartest people in the room. We are glad you are here, and just by showing up, you're already demonstrating your very own smarts. Today, I am pleased to expand our already very wide reach to include jazz, Europe, and some additional global elements to our platform. As usual, I promise you will leave smarter and more enlightened than you arrived. Before we get started, please let me take care of some business. First, to the audience, please feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat window. The reason we do these webinars is twofold. First, we want to showcase really smart people and the amazing work they do day to day in the music industry. But the second reason is a bit more nuanced. Many of you know that I'm a music industry headhunter. I run the music practice at Turnkey ZRG, and I place music executives in roles throughout the industry. So by definition and function, I help people connect with companies. In this series, my goal is to help you make more connections, and I invite you to take full advantage of that opportunity. Specifically, I invite you to engage with the speakers and the other attendees in the chat of the Zoom. Please introduce yourselves, share your LinkedIn profile, say hello to your friends, and make some new ones. And ask questions of our speakers. We will try to address as many of those directly during the interview as possible. Also, please make sure your chat is set to address everyone, not just the host and speakers. I want to thank our program sponsors, for without their support, we could not keep this series free. Special thanks to First Horizon Bank, Turnkey ZRG, the Tennessee Entertainment Commission, MedJet, Tennessee Brew Works, Project Music, and Better Than Booze. So let's get down to business. Today, I am honored to present two international music executives that have a lot to say and will share a lot of wisdom with you. First is Nick Bonard. Nick is the CEO of Montreux Jazz Festival Media Ventures, the production, digital, and commercial subsidiary of the Montreux Jazz Festival, which is currently taking place in Switzerland. Previously, he was CEO of Vice Media Group in France, responsible for all lines of businesses, including editorial and commercial oversight across all Vice digital verticals, as well as Viceland TV and the in-house creative content agency, Virtue Worldwide. Previously, Nick served as General Manager and Senior Vice President of Discovery Studios Group, Discovery Communications in-house production and development and distribution division, which included global program distribution, consumer products, licensing, as well as location-based entertainment. During his tenure, he also served as general manager for France. Nick came to Discovery from Screen Opus Limited, where he served as founder and co-president of this film content financing company. Previous to that, he spent more than 7 years with MTV Networks International. And before joining MTV, Nick was with NBA Europe and NBA Entertainment. Today, he is also a shareholder and board member of Capaw Media and serves on the board of Unity HED Technologies. Welcome, Nick. It is such an honor and privilege to have you with us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
And joining him is Michael Kümmerle. Michael is Global Music Partnership Development Lead at ByteDance TikTok. Since October 22, where he oversees its strategic partnerships with TikTok's third-party music partners across platforms, artist monetization, media, tent poles, and content creation. Michael joined TikTok at the beginning of 2020 as head of music operations in Germany. Prior to that, he held various management positions at Warner Music Group Germany, including digital distribution, business development, performance management, and merchandising and fashion. He started his career at Arvado Mobile / Bertelsmann in music rights management. With over 20 years in various positions in the industry, Michael has extensive experience and knowledge in all interfaces of artists and industry partners between recorded and publishing, live music, platform-driven marketing, and thus fundamental development and expansion of music artists and brands. It is my pleasure to welcome these two global rock stars to our platform. Please take it away, gentlemen.
Tom, thanks a lot for the invite. Nick, great to be here in Montreux. First of all, we are here live at the production office, guys. That you know this, it's an amazing place. And just to set the frame, what we want to speak about today. In the last 3 years, Nick and I spoke a lot about how live music and festivals are being challenged, and how they need to adapt to the new paradigms of the digital platforms, and what all comes together. And seeing this now in the light of the latest news, which came, for example, out of the UK with over 50 festivals already cancelled, we just want to know more about the Montreux Jazz Festival, why this works out so well here in comparison to a lot of other festivals, what are the challenges, and learn more about Nick, and sure speak about that beautiful place here where we are. And just to start that with, we are here. It's a very special vibe. Thanks again also for the invite, Nick here. And what is different here? Why does Montreux, and we kick off a lot of these conversations like that, why does Montreux work so well in comparison to other ones?
Well, thank you very much. I think Montreux is a special place because, you know, it's a festival that's been going on for 58 years. Launched in 1967 by a visionary person called Claude Nobs, and over the years, it's kind of been the stepping stone for a lot of young emerging artists, and legends have performed here for everything from Aretha Franklin to B.B. King to David Bowie to Prince. And today we are speaking to you from the festival itself. We're in day 13 of a 16-day festival. It's, you know, the first 2 weeks of July. Tonight on the main stage, that's situated a few hundred yards behind me, we've got Sting and Rag and Bone Man. But over the last few days, we've had, you know, everything from Massive Attack. We've had Wolfpack. We've had John Batiste. Zucchero. So over the years, it's become a very diverse festival. Very, it's not only about jazz, and has embraced all forms of music and all genres, and that's key, I think, to the uniqueness of this festival. And it's also located in a stunning environment. We're on the Lake of Geneva. We've got the mountains behind us. The stage is on the lake, and it basically gives us some stunning views during each concert.
No, but you really feel that. So when you're here, you see, and guys, I know we're speaking to the converted here, but if you haven't seen that, you need to watch. They All Came Out to Montreux. I don't know where it's available, Nick, but that's explains why this is so legendary, and why everyone needs to play at least once in his career here, and just be part of that legend. Where is it available, by the way?
It's available on the BBC in the UK. We were invited to present the film in Tribeca. So They All Came Out to Montreux is the title of our film we produced with BMG Films and Beyond. It's about the creation of this festival. They All Came Out to Montreux is taken from a Deep Purple song, Smoke on the Water, because it's a song about a fire that engulfed the casino in Montreux where the festival was held initially. And it's, you know, currently being just rolled out and distributed around the world. So it should, I hope it should be soon available in North America, but also in France, UK, and other countries.
So, but just let us learn more about you specifically in the beginning. So Tom just told a bit of your vita, where you come from, but how did you start to work at the Montreux Media Ventures and the Montreux Jazz Festival, and how did this come, and what do you think, what kind of impact did you already have to just steer the festival into a bright future?
I think I'm originally from Montreux, but I work for international media companies, primarily in London. But I worked here as an intern during the festival when I was in university. And over the years, throughout my career, I've always kept in contact with the festival, its founder, and some of the protagonists. And over the years, I was invited to join the advisory board to help sort of steer and navigate the festival with some, in order to adapt the festival to the evolution of the music industry. And about 4 or 5 years ago, we were actually in New York for a board meeting, and we decided that we needed to future-proof the festival one way or the other, because with the digitalization of music that was pushing performance fees up, with everything that was going on in the industry, we had to find a way of mitigating the risk. You know, a festival is an event. It's over 2 weeks. The financial risk is concentrated on those 2 weeks. We don't exist before, we don't exist after. So we had to find a way of annualizing this festival. We also had to find a way of diversifying the lines of revenue. You know, a festival like ours and any festival relies on sponsors, partnerships, ticketing, and hospitality. Whilst those were great businesses, we had to find means of diversifying these sources of revenue and annualizing them as well. And the last piece was about amplifying it. You know, we had to, it's a festival that was, you know, over the years had become very famous, but you know, in recent years, in light of increased competition, other festivals, there's also passing, you know, the founder passed, and there was a passing of a whole generation, it had to kind of reemerge itself from all of that, and we had to kind of, I wouldn't go as far as saying reinvent, but we had to kind of make it, you know, cool and hip and known again. So with these three objectives in mind, we thought that, you know, how could we best achieve that? And the festival is a foundation. It's a non-profit foundation. So we decided to create a separate company called Montre Media Ventures, and that's the company I run. And this company's purpose is to accompany the festival in this transformation. So we founded the company about 5 years ago, pre-COVID. And what these three objectives have all in common, and what will serve across, is content. And we decided to really sort of focus on content creation. The festival, since 1967, has been filming and recording all its performances, and over the years has accumulated a collection of over 6,000 performances. Were inscribed at UNESCO Memories of the World. And there's a very strong and deep-rooted tradition around content, around video and audio. And we were going to leverage that to kind of use that content to really allow us to reach those objectives. And so the first thing we did was, you know, filming concerts. We decided to move away from filming for television and archiving. So we decided to film for mobile and digital. Today, music is consumed through streaming, YouTube primarily, but also other platforms, and but also multi-screen. So, you know, before you'd watch a concert on a television in your living room. Today is no longer the case. We're watching, you know, music on mobile phones, tablets, so much smaller screen. So that meant we had to film concerts completely differently. That meant more close-ups, more immersive, and to be more immersive, we started using cinematic optics on our cameras, but also our directors were young. We decided to go for young directors who were also musicians, so who could anticipate the rhythm of a concert and anticipate bridges, so that we were really sort of providing a very dynamic coverage. And so that was work we put in place 3 years ago, really. But also off the back of that, you know, that was like sort of phase one. Phase two was about the application going on, streaming on our YouTube channel. Today, we're streaming over 60% of our concerts on YouTube. We're also live streaming on channels of artists and local broadcast partners, and on radio. So really sort of tapping into that content to really sort of like amplify the brand, the content, and reach new audiences. And
what you just said is you try to really playing it out to all available channels. So yeah, how do you see that this pay off? Are you able to monetize that already? I think that's a special situation you guys have in comparison to other festivals.
Yeah, monetization is always the, you know, when you talk digital, monetization is always the big question. We have made the decision that for the live element, we will not monetize. So everything we do, all our live streams are ungated and non-monetized. They're free and accessible to all, because that's also in line with the mission of our foundation. So the monetization kicks in later when we tap into the collection, the back catalog, and look at ways of releasing records, selling some of those concerts to television channels, platforms, distribution companies. That's where the monetization kicks in. But on the live element, we are really all about reaching as wide of an audience as possible.
And how do you, when you say about like kicks in later the monetization? So basically, you just said something. Maybe people don't know that you also have or are releasing records out of the old recordings, also DVDs together, but or not just DVDs, but also just on the video content on long form basis. So how will this go on in the future?
I think this will continue. I think we want to tap into this treasure trove of recordings and release them not as back catalog or archival content, but as new records. We've released, thanks to BMG, we have 13 records, which ranging from Nina Simone to Motorhead, and even though they're artists who are no longer with us or concerts that go back to a certain number of decades, we treat them as new records, and that's very important. So we tap into that. We've released vinyl, we've released CD, but also digital. We've also looked at taking the audiovisual content and placing this with television channels, audiovisual video streaming platforms, and really sort of tapping into that catalog as much as we can, but all the time working with the artists or the representatives or their estate to make sure that everybody is treated fairly and compensated accordingly. And that's really important to us because we are a foundation. We support artists, and whatever we do, we always make sure that the originating artist or the underlying rights holder is compensated fairly and appropriately.
What you just said, you want to spend like the brand across the entire year, because that's how you need to set up the modern festivals. I think that's a situation not every festival can adapt to or can do. For example, Tomorrowland can do that, and you have a very specific brand, you can do that. Where do you see them when this is the goal, to have content series, different brands, or break out different sub brands to play the entire year? Where do you see the focus in the next years on this, on the big heritage content, or creating like content for the younger audiences with the great Spotlight program, for example, you have, and we partnered with together 2 years ago in the first steps.
Yeah.
And because you see, you have such a good like artist development and booking for these young artists. Like Fred again was part of that. I remember like 2 years ago. That was like amazing artists which broke the year after. So what is the focus on that?
I think for us, it's all of the above. We take a sort of a multi-channel approach where it really depends on the channel we're looking at. So the MGF Spotlight program, which is a digital activation that we put together to support young emerging artists, that lives on YouTube and Instagram, and therefore has their own set of audience. So we'll focus on up and coming artists, younger demographic, of course. But then, conversely, as we're looking at re-releasing some of the older legacy artists, we will always keep in mind that there is sort of an existing built-in audience for that, or consumer for that, but always keeping in mind that we are forward-looking, and therefore we have to reach the younger demographic, and therefore it's also about contextualizing and explaining to that younger demographic why this artist, why BB King is important, why Les McCann and Eddie Harris are important, why all these these greats who came before us, why are they important, and how can they still be relevant today? So there's no, we look at that really holistically and really depending on which channel we would focus on.
When you see this now, what is like, when you look into the future of the festival, like what is the next phase of that? When you is it breaking out into new regions to achieve that, or is this what? Let's go one step back. Maybe that's the wrong question. The question is more about what is the challenge for the Montreux Jazz Festival? So that's how can you grow if you want to grow? How can you keep that heritage alive? How can you can find new audiences, but also under the umbrella that you are a world heritage. You have your are based on a foundation. You have the word, which is great for us who know that festival. You have that word jazz in the name. What is like the next step to secure this? What you want to achieve?
That's a good question. I think for us, it's really trying to keep ahead. I mean, keep our head above water. That's first and foremost. We, as you said earlier, festivals, live music is under pressure. Performance fees are going up. In the UK, you mentioned 50 plus festivals canceled. Brexit, COVID, inflation, all these factors are pressure points, which we have to address. And I think that's the priority, right? In the short-term priority is really how do we address all of that? And I think not all festivals are equipped to do that, and therefore many have gotten canceled. So I think that's really our priority. And off the back of that, to do that, we have to be very clear on our identity, our brand, our audience, and our those are kind of the key elements, and knowing who we are and what is our USP, and then constantly offering a new experience to our audience, to our viewers. And I think that's really the ongoing mission, is whatever that looks like, whether it's festivals in Miami, Japan, or elsewhere, whether that's records, vinyl, whether that's a digital activation, whether it's like this year, we have a massive outdoor stage on the lake, which is offering some unique experiences. We opened with John Batiste, and it was a sunset, and it was just amazing. And I invite you guys to check our socials where you'll see all of that. So it's always trying to be keeping ahead and trying to offer always something new. And whether what that is, I think really depends. It's something you have to be very adaptable and think on your feet.
And just to say that place of that stage is amazing, because you see in the evening that the balconies around of the apartments and the houses are just full, and the people watching from above, and that's a very different vibe to just being indoors and having a venue. So that's really amazing when you see that, especially when the weather is like that today. You spoke about the audiences. Very interesting point at this festival, because you have a lot of heritage artists and big superstars playing, like maybe their one gig in Montreux. Tickets are sure not cheap. It has to be that price, and it's not that many people who fit in that venue. And then you have a lot of free stages where young artists are playing, and the audience is very young. So there's a huge gap between the audiences. Do you think it's easy to come up with like a content program to just attract all of these at the same time, or do you think the modern platforms or the tech platforms and then social and content networks provide the opportunity just to have different content series and play it out to different audiences?
I think thinking of one's audience, and there are multiple audiences, and this is maybe very digital outlook on things, thinking of our audience. I think we have obviously a physical audience, we have a digital audience. Our physical audience is, every year we've got 300,000 people that come here over 2 weeks. 70% of them are under the age of 30. So, whilst it's often pigeonholed as a jazz festival, it remains a very young festival. Whilst on our digital audience, we are more international, we're UK, US focused. And I think it's keeping all these things in mind when we're actually activating what we're doing. And I think at the end of the day, if you break everything down, and this may sound like bullshit digital marketing theory, but at the end of the day, we are a brand, content, and an audience, and those are our primary DNA. And then everything stems from that, whether it's the live events, the physical events, the albums, everything goes back to those three components. And I think that's, at least that's how I look at this whole enterprise. And I think by looking at that in those terms, you're not limited to just an event or just a record. You have to look at this holistically, and maybe I don't know if this used and abused term is on a 360. So we have paid stages. We this year we have 64 concerts. We have 2 main stages. However, we offer over 550 free concerts, open to all, ranging from pure jazz to hip hop to trip hop to soul to all genres of music. We embrace absolutely all genres, to DJs and to Brazilian, and all of that is free. And so that's very important in terms of our brand and our audience. And then off the back of that is how do we capitalize on that to reach out to new audiences through digital, through the different platforms. And I think all of that kicks in. But fundamentally, we are our DNA is brand, audience, and content. And how the 3 of these how do you articulate the 3 of these components to really build your business?
That's basically, that would be a perfect sentence just to close that webinar, but that's we're not doing that. So because that was
I should get a doctorate for that.
Yeah, definitely. No, but
if there's any doctors in economics here, I'll volunteer.
No, coming to the point when you said it's like keeping the brand keeping it brand focused, like sponsors play a big role for festivals in general. And you said you offer also like a lot of free concerts, and sponsors play a big role here that as well. I think sponsors are tied in. You offer something maybe a lot of other festivals don't offer. You tie in basically the opportunity for sponsors to come in and have concerts, have live artists, etc. How does this work? I just saw that like Black Coffee is giving a free concert, or a DJ gig, or a secret gig. That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, sponsors, partners are our lifeline. We rely on their investment. We rely on their support to exist. So they're very important. I think they're buying into the brand, they're buying into the event, they're buying into the hospitality package. But I think also is how do we but they're also buying in this idea that music is something that connects everybody, and whether you're rich, you're poor, you're young, you're old, male, female, everybody has a soundtrack to their lives, and that what brings all of us together. And that's why big brands watch, like one of our sponsors, Audemars Piguet, big watch brand, very prestigious. Music is a very important component for them, and how do you activate that in an authentic and legitimate way? Because at the same time, our audience is very good at spotting bullshit. So for sponsors, it's about it's no longer just about selling a product. It's about identifying with an audience in a legitimate way and offering an experience. And for us, is how do we upsell that in a sponsorship deal to generate more value in any deal. And that's a really sort of an important component for us. And I think everybody is looking at that, and authenticity is key. So to break it down, rather than wanting to sell a product, you want to sell an experience, and how through that experience, obviously, you present the product and your brand. And I think for us, that's an important piece of the puzzle when it comes to sponsors. And obviously, free concerts, creating a whole environment that generates that is key.
And what is hospitality, or how important is hospitality for the brands nowadays? When you see this, especially in that beautiful setting, I just look directly onto the lake, and the sun is setting, so it's getting slightly purple. So it's what does hospitality play?
A very important role. Very important. Obviously, the setting sort of plays into that. But I think this is, as brands want to tap into this event and the association with music, they want their clients to do the same thing. So they have to be seen give you the clients as being legitimate and authentic. So that's a big component of our business, where you could even push this even to the extent that our festival, we're in the hospitality business. It's about hosting people. It's about hosting companies and offering them the best experience you can possibly offer to them. And I think for us, we have obviously VIP sponsor hospitality packages and initiatives with pavilions and tents, and that's a big component. And I think that's very important for any events, whether it's a music festival or sports. And I think, but the key thing for us as a festival is how do you integrate them in such a way that it looks authentic and legitimate, and that you're not, you do it in a way that is in line with the brand, because our audience are very good at spotting bullshit. So so I think that's key.
I don't want to bring myself into unstable water, but what would when you would have one wish free for all the platforms out there, like us, TikTok or YouTube or even Spotify or everything, what would that be? How would you like to work together or in a deeper way with us?
I think for us, it's really, it goes back to this amplification. I think amplifying our festival, our music, our brand, our audience to the largest possible audience is key. And I think being able to work with platforms in order to achieve that is fundamental. I think the issue will come, I understand platforms are also running a business, they need to monetize, and all this comes with a price. But I think there is value in offering festival like ours some kind of presence on these platforms to either justify their role in music or justify the connection with a certain audience. So whether it's TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, for us these are windows to the world. And I think before having before being a monetization opportunity. And this is why our live streaming is free. This is why everything we do live is completely free in order to reach a wider audience. And if the platforms can work with us in that direction, I think that would be fantastic.
And Tom, you just asked if we are one of the sponsors. Not this year. Like TikTok was one of the media sponsors like 2 years ago. And we haven't came together again, but that's exactly that's why I also asked that. What would help the festivals or what would help all the festivals just from a platform perspective, and then how could they just find the contents back to all these windows as you just said, Nick. You have a very special booking. Just do something like on the festival, which is amazing. It's very diverse. How do you look at setting this eclectic lineup together every year? Is it about really the mixture of young rising legendary artists? Is it about really also treating the artist as kind of that's a very business tone, like stakeholders, and saying, okay, like a big artist wants to play last time Montreux or like a third time Montreux. So what is how do you pick that booking?
I think we have a very strong booking team, and I think there is and some of them go back a long time, have been with us for a number of years. And I think and that's important because they've ingrained in what they do. They know the festival, they know the brand, and therefore they have deep-rooted relationship with the agents and everybody else. And I think for us, it's also, as I said, multi-channel. Each channel has its audience. The same thing with our stages. We have multiple stages. Each stage has an audience. So our main stage, which this year is the Lake stage, and we know these are the bigger acts. They're the oldest viewing acts. So here we would have, for example, for tonight we have Sting, We'll have Janelle Monáe, we'll have Duran Duran, we'll have Paolo Nutini. Whilst on the other stage, we'll have much younger acts, such as up and coming acts like Henry Moody, but also Warren Treaty, Victor Ray, Paloma Faith, and even guys like Jelena Ngonda. So it's really, each stage has its own specificity and target. And I think, but it's also tapping into the history.
But what would you like to see in the next years? How should the festival change, and also to like adapt all the positive things you just said in the future for all the platform business and the different outlets? What kind of musicians you think are missing at the moment, or maybe you say all is said, all is good?
I think for us, it's really, there's certain musicians, yes, artists we would love to kind of tap into. I mean, obviously, it's everything from Bruce Springsteen to Taylor Swift, and we love to be able to host these fantastic artists. But our model doesn't fit. We have a much smaller stage. We have our biggest venue is 5,000 capacity. So the economic model doesn't work with these types of artists today who have big shows, who have worldwide tours, and who command big fees. And we're just not equipped to go after them. But maybe by this work of building our brand, building our audience, and building this whole community, maybe one of them will say, you know what, I want to go to Montreux, and I'll go there with a much reduced production, and I'll go there just because I want to be performing on the same stage as Aretha Franklin, as Miles Davis, and that would be the biggest honor for us.
Yeah, as Tom just said, but that's the beautiful vibe here, that the big artists are playing on smaller capacities, and when you see this on that beautiful setting, that's amazing. Going back to that point, and what is because everyone wants to know, which is on that webinar today, everyone wants to know what was the biggest challenge in the last 5 years and the craziest stories you can tell, which happened to you in your first 5 years.
Well, I guess it's COVID. It's COVID, the big one, because we had created this Montreal Media Ventures. We had sort of established a vision and a strategy going forward, and within I think within a year we were hit by COVID, which meant we had to cancel the festival in 2020, and with all the chaos and that meant, and then we had some tough choice to make. So we either curled up in a corner and let the whole thing pass, or do we actually stand up and try to do something? And then we decided to stand up. So we decided to 2020. The festival didn't exist, but we streamed on our YouTube channel every night, 2 or 3 concerts. We leverage our digital footprint to create digital activations, content. And even though it may not have generated millions in terms of audience, but it allowed us to stay relevant vis-a-vis the sponsors. Very important. None of them pulled out, but also vis-a-vis the artists who saw that we were trying to kind of we were staying afloat and trying to be relevant, and vis-a-vis our audience who saw that we were still here, we were still standing, and who were just waiting for us to kind of come out the other end and organize another festival. So that was the big challenge. I mean, for me, and it also corresponded with the development of Montreal Media Ventures, because whilst we put this company in place, we had a sort of a very media-led strategy. Explaining the strategy to the rest of the team sometimes sounded a little obscure or very theoretical. Here we had a very pragmatic example that is where content was important, where streaming was important, not only just from a marketing perspective, but from a survival perspective. So in terms of cultural transformation, that was transformational for us because it accelerated the process. And we came out the other side already with sort of a digital content strategy with a very clear idea that we wanted to film everything, all content for mobile and digital. It accelerated that process and allowed us to then, you know, come out the other side, I think, strong. And for me, that was the single biggest challenge, professionally, but also personally, because it took its toll.
And do you think this already changed again in the past 3 years now again? Because like a lot of we have a total different scenario out there from a business perspective, and that's really true. You see that all the content platforms really rose in the past years. Like content is in the focus. But do you see that you started that change, and did you already have to adapt it again just to see that the path and the growth is still ongoing?
I think so, because I think there's everybody during COVID was talking about streaming, and I think coming out of COVID, there was a streaming fatigue, you know, because everybody was doing something from their living room and in the kitchen, and I think there was coming out of COVID, everybody was just fed up with, you know, another streaming event and I think it was, therefore the value was not necessary. So we still rolled out a streaming strategy because we thought that, you know, we could definitely make a difference and it made sense for us. But the value was not in the stream itself. It was the monetization value. That's what I mean. Yeah, that's why the streaming became the window and allowed us to kind of reach as wide of audience as possible. And when I say the value was elsewhere, the value was the notoriety and the visibility that the streaming offered us. We could then leverage that to generate value elsewhere. One of them was you know, sponsors. Sponsors were buying into traditional hospitality package. Now with content being more and more prevalent, they were also looking for content. So we were able to upsell on top of our hospitality package. We were able to upsell a digital content package. And therefore, you know, there was a considerable uplift of the value of the sponsorship deals. We were able to also offer some of that to the artists who wanted to tap into our content creation as well. So we worked with The Smile, we worked with Nick Cave, we worked with a whole bunch of artists to create content that was relevant to them as well. So it kind of created this ecosystem where we were able to serve not only ourselves but our partners, our sponsors, and the artists, and in a cool and creative way, and obviously creating and generating value back for us as well, and for everybody involved.
Yeah, that sounds good. The how does the legend live on venue? Basically, you have a beautiful club or house like the Belvedere where artists are jamming, like really jazz musicians are jamming, and people go in and see this, and then artists who played that night or the night before are just joining the artist on stage, and this goes on the entire night. We experienced this like 2 years ago when like Black Pumas went on stage and brought people in from the audience and just played the entire night. How does this help the legendary brand just to live on, and is this still practiced now? Also, do you experience this year, for example?
Yeah, and you know, our one of our slogans is "Where Legends Are Born," so that's really embedded in everything we do. We have what we call the Lake House. It's basically a whole building where you can have master classes, vinyl listening sessions, presentations, where you've got, you know, everybody from Nile Rodgers to Deep Purple to Nick Mason coming in and talking about, you know, their music and how Deep Purple composed "Smoke on the Water," and all of this stuff is free. You can also watch movies, and there's certain concerts we put up, and all these activations are put forward by our foundation, and it's all free. And I think it's through these types of activities that we're able to continue the story. And obviously, tapping into the past. We can't tell that story without talking about Aretha Franklin, without talking about Miles Davis, who I think performed 19 times, and Nina Simone, etc. So those are embedded in the history, and they will always come up. And you can't build the future without having a very clear sense of that. And obviously, going forward, creating very special moments. John Batiste, for example, opening night this year, after a brilliant performance, decided to get off stage and do one of these New Orleans parades, and literally walked into the audience and walked out the door into the street, still playing, still singing, and with the audience, following him out. Obviously, logistically, security-wise, that was a complete nightmare, but we just went with it because it was, again, one of those special moments.
That sounds amazing. I just saw the week before we came here, the National, just away, and this was amazing as well. You live streamed that, by the way. That's really good. Just Tom reminded us, because you're sitting in front of the screen, that Sting just went on stage, I guess, behind you. I think everyone is seeing that. So that's.
Oh yeah.
That's good. Started.
We're, just for context, I'm sitting here in our broadcast center. So as I mentioned earlier, we have 2 stages. We film both stages, and we create a live mix, and all these live mixes come here in this office, where we then push it to the screens, push it to our YouTube channel, and push it everywhere on radio, etc. So this is effectively sort of our broadcast center, or stream, and we should call it more of a streaming center. That's more appropriate. So the screens there is the live concerts tonight.
That's great. Tell us, when we have 5 more minutes, give us a bit more of the idea what the foundation is, and if you have scholarships around this, and how do you preserve the legend? What is the foundation doing to keep this basically a World Heritage?
So, so we have the Festival Foundation. There's 2 foundations. The one that is really into continuing the preservation and the heritage is really the Montreux Artist Foundation, and whose role is really to support artists, young emerging artists, in any way they can. We don't have endowments but we do organize events the rest of the year. The foundation organizes events and showcases some of these artists, but then organize masterclasses with experts in their field and who come and share their experience, where one of these sessions would be with lawyers. We would have this with a producer. We would have this with other music professionals who basically share their experience to younger up and coming artists who can tap into that experience in order to better manage their careers and understand the business side of it, and as well as the artistic side of it. And I think that's very complementary. So every year in the fall, we have an event here over 3-4 days where we have master classes, and we invite artists. We invite people to kind of really participate, and all of that again is free. So that's, they do a lot of work in that all year round. And I think that's a very important mission for the festival in general.
Do you see that basically coming like the basis of like the Spotlight program, a basis of maybe widening out the business fields and then having even a wider footprint in the music industry?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, creating a Spotlight program and being able to engage with young up and coming artists as early as possible, and establishing a relationship with them young, which hopefully will last their entire career. So I think that's really important in a world of music corporation, establishing that emotional link and early, and helping these artists along the way in whatever way we can. And I think that will, put us in a special position in their heart going forward, so that they come back and perform here. For example, I mean, tonight, Rag and Bone Man, Rag and Bone Man is performing tonight, but performed over the few years, and the festival has been very supportive in his career, and the fact that Human became a breakout hit, thanks to partly, we're not going to take all the credit, but partly to the festival support, and he's quite a reconnaissant for that, and has come back since and helped us and given back to us, and as we give back to him, so it's creating that sort of symbiotic relationship. That's just one artist. We have, long-standing relationships with some of the older artists, John McLaughlin, examples. So it's really establishing in a world of consumerism, where music is just, come today, a hit comes in and out. Is how do you establish a true emotional human relationship with an artist that is long term, and I think that's really what we aim for.
Would you see this as a solution, for example, for all the other festivals out there which struggle, or is this specifically to like festivals with such a strong brand identity like you have, or maybe, as said before, like Tomorrowland has, or Glastonbury?
I don't think it's something you can improvise or just decide, that you're going to do this. I think it's something that has to be developed over time and organically, and has to come from a legitimate and meaningful place. And I think that's really important, because you can't just step in and tell everybody that you're supporting the arts, when in fact, it's just a marketing ploy. I think you have to build that legitimacy. You have to build that over time. And I think people will notice that and buy into that. And again, I go back to this sort of bullshit filter. I mean, I think that's important, because it's not, if you do this for all the wrong reasons, it's not sustainable, and then you get caught out at one point. So it all goes back to tapping into the tradition, the history, and the legacy, and the fact that this is real, this is authentic, and
yeah, authenticity. And before we close out, give us a sneak peek of next year. What is happening? Can you tell us already something? Can you reveal something?
Well, we don't know, honestly. I mean, aside from the fact that we're going to be outdoors again on this fantastic stage, the lineup is still a mystery, because it's something that we will start working on the following Monday of the festival. So it's something that is work. We start working the day after the festival ends. So there's nothing really to announce when it comes to that, but the stage will be here, and the experience will be even more extraordinary, I think, next year, because we'll have had 1 year under our belt. And I can see there's a question with regard to the URL for our live streaming. So I invite you. It's on our Montreux Jazz Festival YouTube channel, and on the menu bar there's something that says live, and then you can click on that, and then you'll see the live streaming.
And I can just go on, Nick.
No, I was going to say that tonight we are streaming. Well, we are streaming Rag and Bone Man, so that's available.
And you guys definitely need to experience this in person. It's an amazing festival. I can just emphasize that again. It's the vibe is different to any other festival I've been before, and that's thanks to Nick and his amazing team. Do we have any questions from the audience? Any other questions? Or Tom, from your side?
Michael, you stole one from me, and that was a preview of next year. You beat me to that. Nick, your festival sounds so similar to Newport Folk Festival and Newport Jazz Festival. Are you all in any way associated with the Newport festivals?
Not Not formally, I think. I think we had a relationship with George Wine some years ago, and he featured in our film. But there's no sort of formal relationship with them. Over the time, we had relationships with the Atlanta Jazz Festival and other festivals, but not in Newport.
Right.
To my knowledge, I may be wrong because it's 58 years old, so there may have been something sometime in the past, but nothing that I can recall.
There's a lot of similarities between what you describe makes your event so unique and authentic, as well as what makes Newport that same thing. Newport only sells 10,000 tickets total to their festivals. They sell out before they even announce the lineup. In other words, they put them on sale before even the headliners are announced, and they're gone. It's incredible, the installed user base, and they sound like approach their fans much the same way you approach yours. Embrace them and shower them with all sorts of great content and authenticity. So good on you.
Thank
guys,
you.
I'm sorry.
Thank you very much.
Well, listen, I want to thank you both for taking time out of the festival to share with us what's going on there. I've had a lot of guests do this from unusual places, but today I think it takes the cake. From being inside the production studio at a major international music festival, I've never done one of those. So awesome. Thank you very much. To the audience, I promise you leave today more enlightened and inspired than you arrived, and I'm certain we delivered on that. Michael, next time I want to hear more about you and TikTok. You artfully skirted all of that today in favor of Nick and Montreux, which is great. I'm glad you did.
But that's the place here. That's the place here. Yeah.
Well, listen, keep doing what you're doing, gentlemen. Get out there and enjoy Sting. I'm jealous, and also jealous of it being probably 75 degrees and not 110 like it is in Nashville.
Well, it is in the room we're in. It's close to that.
Yeah. It is. But thanks for having us today. It was a pleasure.
You bet. Safe travels, gentlemen. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you soon, everyone.
Bye.